We're back. We're in person. It's match week 25. We had to make the commitment. We've connected. No more Zoom, no more remote. We're back in the studio.
And it just feels right, doesn't it?
It feels right.
It feels right. We got a crazy title push coming.
Yeah.
We have top 4 spots up for grabs, places in Europe. A really interesting relegation battle. It is just a perfect time to be watching the Prem.
Long match week as well.
Yep, a long match week, so we might as well get into the scores and get into our predictions.
Yep.
So we got 12 matches to get through in this video.
Let's do it.
So the scores from last week, I know you guys have all been just dying to hear it. I take down Brock 9-8. An absolute thrilling week, which gives me the lead overall. Yep. Oh my goodness, I have been clawing and scraping to get myself back on top. I'm there. It's 147 to 146. Let's get into the match week.
Let's do it. This takes us to a fun fixture. Brentford versus Liverpool. They're going to be kicking off. Brentford hosts. We get Liverpool injury problems. What's all going on here?
I mean, not. I wouldn't say there's a crisis going on in Liverpool. I mean, they have that loss a couple weeks ago against Arsenal. But the reality is their overall form has just been sensational.
Yeah.
They've been really pinging it about. They've been finding a lot of goals, and I don't see them having a problem here either. Ivan Toney, obviously, he gets another goal last week, but he's just not going to be enough. And so I'm going to go with our classic 3-1 Liverpool here.
3-1. I'm going to take a different approach. I think Ivan Toney's going to be looking to prove he's ready for the Arsenal. And Liverpool win the game 3-2.
3-2.
This takes us to our next one. We get Burnley playing host to the Arsenal. You want to tackle Burnley? I feel like let's go tackle Burnley first.
And then we'll get into this.
And then
I'll give you some time to speak, right? Burnley haven't been great.
Yeah.
Obviously had Liverpool last week.
Yeah.
Got battered as expected.
Yeah.
And probably the same story this week.
That's the hope. It feels like Arsenal's finally putting the pieces together.
Their start of their 2024 has been really good.
What is this? 10 goals on 3 fixtures. I can't even put an actual number, but what you're seeing is incredible output. Set piece merchants, you need it. The top set piece team in the Premier League.
Yep. And
we're starting to see open play goals trickle back in our favor. You know, we were talking, it just felt like weeks ago, it's this XG lull. They're one goal and 7 XG, and now we're starting to see the pendulum swing back in. There's a lot more fluidity in this side.
Yep.
You're seeing impacts from players like Trossard. I think he's been unbelievable for us. And Arteta's tactical identity is evolving. We're looking to exploit different spaces, and as a fan, that just makes me really excited. That shows a man that's thinking ahead.
What's the scoreline for this one?
I've got Arsenal winning this game 2-0.
2-0. Not as many goals this week.
No, I don't think so.
I'm gonna go 3-1 again.
3-1 again.
Just seems right.
That's gonna kick us to the cottage. We're gonna head out there where Fulham play host to Aston Villa.
Fulham looked good last week.
Yeah.
Boria is still on the bench because Muniz has 3 goals in his last 2 games.
Fine.
Absolutely flying. Striker, it feels like every time Fulham have a striker dilemma, no one can score. All of a sudden, they have too many options. I'm like, where does this keep coming from? But it's huge for him. He's a hard worker. He deserves it. It's been good to see him get in form. And then Willian. I mean, I don't know if I've seen a player who had such a big fallout from the Premier League.
Yeah.
Comes back in at age 34, age 35 now. And he has just completely revitalized himself. Like, he is back to his best. He's getting goal contributions left and right. And he is the most creative player on that team.
Yeah.
Villa, on the other hand, heartbreaking to lose last week at home. They've lost 3 at home in a row.
Yeah.
As crazy as that sounds. But the reality is they are doing a lot of things right. They're just not getting that final goal.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things where now these defenses are starting to respect them a little bit more, and they're having a lot harder time breaking them down.
I think that's what you're seeing. This tactical identity of Villa, especially early on, was we can hold defensively and we can ping it deep. You get the likes of Bailey.
They're creative.
Diaby,
so fluid.
And Watkins is turning himself into a real talisman. Now it's, can they break a low block? When a team decides to sit in, do they have the quality to move the ball in a way that will open up spaces for Watkins to come in and finish? They've been struggling to find it recently. I think when they go to the Cottage, they will find the difference maker, and it'll be a 2-1 win for Aston Villa.
It's going to be a 2-1 win for Villa. I wouldn't be surprised if Fulham nicks it because they just are so good at home.
Yeah.
But Fulham aren't the type of team that sit back.
No.
They just aren't, and with that being said, they'll probably get burned for it.
Won't let you. That's going to take us to our next fixture. We get Newcastle hosting Bournemouth. This is one of those games you look at the badges and we talk about the cyclical nature of the Premier League. Team finds themselves in form, finds themselves out of form. Where do we find both of these two sides? Newcastle starts the season flying, find a lull, they're back. Bournemouth, on the other hand,
are winless in the last 5.
It's start stop. For me, it's an easy prediction.
I agree.
It's numbers for me, and it's a 2-0 Newcastle win.
3-1 Newcastle.
Okay, easy enough. We're headed off to Forest hosting West Ham. Oh my days!
Now this is one of those games that are difficult to predict.
Yeah.
Right. West Ham also winless in their last 5. We were talking a couple weeks ago where we're like, we just do not like the way West Ham plays, but they're getting results.
Yep.
Now, we don't like the way they play, and they're not getting results. They're not getting results. Forrest, on the other hand, is still trying to get some feet underneath them with the new manager. Obviously, he's been there for a good portion of time now.
Yeah.
But there hasn't been a consistency in performances quite yet.
Yep.
So very, very interesting game this one is.
Two teams that really like to counterpunch, and I think that's going to make for a knockout fixture. I've got West Ham winning this game 4-2. I think it's going to be a bloodbath, shootout. Both of these teams have pretty open defenses. Big miss for West Ham has been Paqueta. One of the most, I'd say out of the big 6, one of the most impressive players I've watched. And having him not on the field makes all the difference for the likes of Bowen, for Kudus, who need that service to be able to break lines and get in behind. You didn't see it whatsoever against Arsenal. Really good defensive side, but do you have anything to add to that?
I see this game going a little bit different of a way. I think this is going to be very cagey. I think West Ham, at least in recent weeks outside of the Arsenal result, have been playing this really, really stagnant brand of football. And I think Forest, I think both of these teams will take a draw. That's what I'm trying to say. I think it'll be 1-1. I think a player to watch for is Inouye is back for Forest, which is huge because he's been out for a long period of time. So we'll see if he's back among the goals, but I just see it going 1-1.
Yeah, 1-1. That's going to take us. Spurs will be hosting Wolves. Smash and grab club. Crazy result for Tottenham. One of those ones you look at doesn't feel justified.
Well, if I was just about to mention what happened in the reverse fixture, Tottenham up 1-0, Wolves get 2 stoppage times winners. So maybe last week's result was the makeup for that.
There you go. Right? It all balances out.
But this is one of those that Spurs are going to want to have because of what happened in the reverse fixture, right?
Do you see this being a side that's up for it? Timo Werner's come into the side. I think he offers something kind of fun.
I think he's looked good. Rich Arlson, we have to talk about his form because he has been in and among the goals. It has been crazy to see. Son is back. Yeah. Right? Basuma back. Right? So you're starting to get some of these players back. Yeah. And then that defense is finally getting back to being solidified, right? With having Romero right next to Van de Ven. And so I think you're starting to they're gonna get back to where they once were. And I think this game, they'll do it. I
think if we had a staff that could go back, look at our previous clips, there's somewhere in there me saying, if Tottenham have 1 or 2 injuries, they're coming unreal. And we kind of saw that play out. Flying start, oh my goodness, Tottenham's going to win the title. Couple injuries, couple players out. But now we're starting to see those guys come back into the side. They're rebuilding this puzzle that was making up for wonderful football. And I think you'll see it on display. 3-0 Spurs.
2-0 Spurs.
We're heading into our match of the week. It's the only one on there that has a shout for it. It's City hosting Chelsea. Chelsea, do your job. We need it from you.
The thing is, we're always on here. I was thinking about this week. We're always on here just talking about how much we hate City, right? And assuming that all of our watchers hate City too, but there's a couple City fans that watch our show. You guys are Muppets. Yeah. That's all I was trying to say there.
Let's do a little exercise. We'll say one nice thing about Manchester City.
De Bruyne?
De Bruyne.
De Bruyne?
What a player he
that's
is.
A nice
It's
thing
been
to say.
really fun to have him back in the Premier League.
Yep.
He's that kind of player that you just watch and, wow. That's I think one way to describe him.
Yeah.
But this obviously is a fixture. City have the train is back on track, right?
It
and
really
we've
is.
seen it before. We'll see it a million other times until Pep Guardiola leaves this club. But man,
they always, again, you come around into the new year and they just flick it in.
Flick it in.
And it's become expected, right?
Yeah.
It's become expected, and it seems like they're in the driver's seat for the title again.
Yeah.
And we're just like, we weren't even talking about them months ago because they were falling apart. Now they're just unbeatable at this point.
Unbeatable.
And being unbeatable, it's got to be 3-1 City.
3-1 City. Because I can't choose the same score as you, that's where I probably would have landed myself. I'm going to have it finish 3-2.
3-2.
I think Chelsea maybe get...
These
Palmer's always good for a jammy little handball penalty.
I think you said that the last 3 weeks as well.
He's good for one. This is going to take us, next fixture, we get Sheffield hosting Brighton. They're going to be in business. They're going to be frustrated. Man, it just seems like I watch Brighton all the time and I'm like, I really like the way they play and they struggle to get these results.
Yep. Especially
in these bigger games with Tottenham. I think they were completely deserving of winning, not only drawing that game. I think they would have taken a draw.
Totally.
But winning that game with what they created, they're missing that cutting edge. Does this happen to do with De Zerbi and the way he rotates his squad? We never really see a consistent striker.
Yeah.
Is it ridiculous for me to start questioning, okay, why not? If somebody's bagging goals, leave him in, let him play.
And that's been the weird part is you sit there and you're like, there's not a lot of consistency in their nine, but the reality is their nines also aren't consistent. Mm-hmm. You know, like Welbeck, João Pedro, and Evan Ferguson are all class players, but I don't necessarily think one of those players getting the same, like a huge run of fixtures is going to be better than the other, and you know what I mean? So there is a sense of matchup. I don't know. I'm not the coach. We're not the coach. Sheffield pick up a huge win at Luton Town last weekend. I mean, they needed it. It obviously, they're still very, very much in a pit, right? But those are the results they need to start clicking if they're going to claw their way out. Yeah, they need 3 or 4 of those to round out the season, and if they want a chance, right? And it just can't. It's not going to happen this week, though. It's not, but it will. And it will happen this way. It will be Sheffield United taking this game 2-1. This just seems like a Blades win that vibes tell me are coming. These teams where their back is up against the wall, just a jammy set piece off a corner kick. It bounces off a defender head, rolls in, it's tapped in. Brighton, these are the kind of clubs that Brighton really, they not only lose to, they struggle with. They struggle to create. They get hit. They get exposed on the counter. I think Sheffield have 1 or 2 players that can do a little bit of damage on the wing. Hammers looked good recently. Or Archer's looked good as well. Wow. And so I just want to throw myself out there as somebody that says Sheffield will get a result. Wow. I'm going to take this the other way. I think Brighton will get an early goal, and they'll cruise to a 3-0 victory. Very different picks here. And that is going to take us to Luton Town, back at the Kenny, hosting Manchester United. I want to speak on United just for a second. Yeah, I think we should. And one, I think I'm not loving the way they're playing. Yeah. But defensively, they have looked super solid in the back in recent weeks. What's played into that, do you think? Maguire's return, potentially is a part of it. Casemiro's return, another part of it. Starting to get players like Shaw in and involved, I think has to do with that for sure. But I don't know. Because it just seems like Ten Hag does not let he's playing a little bit of, I know my team can beat anyone in a break. So we're going to be very organized, and when we win the ball, we are going to burn you with the likes of Garnacho, Rashford, and then Bruno being able to find that pass, right? Yeah. And that's just what I've seen from them in recent weeks. And I don't say I don't like the way they're playing, but I think they'll keep getting good results because of it. I really do. What are your thoughts? I think
it says something, and this has been a culmination of Manchester United this season. They found a way to get it done. Say what you will, there's a reason that they are in shouts for sneaking back into Champions League.
Yeah.
One of the most rubbish teams, like genuinely, when you sit there and you watch them on a Saturday, on a Sunday, it doesn't feel like they can create consistently. And I think that has been a big problem for them. Not once do I see patterns of play that I'm like, oh, this is where you're going to see a goal. When you watch City, when you watch Arsenal, when you watch Liverpool, you see consistency that leads to goals. Manchester United does not have it. It's coming from sporadic ways, and that scares me.
And it's chaotic.
It's chaotic.
When it was 1-1 against Villa this past weekend, I thought there was no chance they were going to win the game. I thought Villa it was either going to be a draw because Villa couldn't score.
Yeah.
And somehow out of nowhere, they get it. Yeah, exactly. And so I would agree with you. Luton, on the other hand, have been they started to find form.
Yeah.
They've lost it a bit, but they are still sitting outside of the relegation zone, just barely because of Everton's point deduction. But they're going to have to start getting points.
And I'm going to get us to the pick here because I think you can summarize these two teams. Luton has been a side that has punched over what we expected, but results have often fallen down to, honestly, disappointing. Games they should have won, they've drawn. Games that they should have drawn, they've lost. United, on the other hand, underperformed expectation, but the results have been higher than what they maybe deserved. And I think that theme will carry out here. That's my only logical conclusion. It's going to be 2-1 Manchester United.
I'm going to go with a bit of a blowout, 3-0 United.
Wow. Okay. We're going to head then to Everton, hosting Palace. Two sides that really need to start finding a way to click back into gear.
They really do. I believe Everton are winless in the last 5. Palace are without Elise and Eze.
Yeah.
And so, again,
shocked.
again, both of these teams need a win. And Everton right now are in the relegation zone, which is kind of crazy if you think about their form from a couple months ago, right? Yeah. And there's just not much more I have to say except 1-1.
I'm going to join you in it. I'm sitting here looking at these two sides. 1-1, it's easy. We get Manchester City. They're playing again this match week.
Yeah,
it's a Tuesday night kickoff, and they're going to be making up for the game against Brentford.
Yeah. Game against Brentford, makeup from, I think it was like a month and a half ago when they played in the Club World Cup. Yeah. Tough week for Brentford, right? They get Liverpool and City in the span of a couple of days.
Special, Brentford. Come on, Tony. Earn your keep.
Yeah, Arsenal fans are huge Brentford fans this week, right? But it is a tough week for them.
Yeah, it is a tough week.
And that being said, we already kind of recapped where both of these teams are at in their predictions earlier, so we'll just throw out the prediction. I'll go ahead and go. I think this one will be 2-0 City.
2-0 City. I'm going to go 3-1. Holland will get a hat trick.
There you go.
We'll be back amongst the scores here. Last fixture of the long week for us. Liverpool get Luton, and they get them at Anfield this time. Makes all the difference, right?
Right. And Anfield is a tough place to play.
And Anfield's a tough place to play, but Liverpool is an incredibly easy team to pick. 3-1 Liverpool.
Yep. 3-1 Liverpool.
Make it easy. That takes us for the week. I'll tell you what, it's been a blast to be back. It's just different pinging together.
Oh, man.
I hope everybody in the comments sounding off, having fun.
We got the score predictions up there right now. And honestly, in recent weeks, it's been a little bit weird. We're all getting back into our schedules and stuff like that. But I need you guys to be back in the comments. That's what I need. We want to interact with you. We want to hear some of your predictions, the game of the week, who your team is, who you think is going to make the push for the title. We want to hear all of that. So be in the comments.
Cool. Cheers.